Part 92. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 911. Chapter 911. Only Yuan Ran can save Yi Suiao. Have you received the divorce agreement? I have signed it. After you sign it, give it to the lawyer. The contact information is 136. This is the text message Kitano received from Yuan Ran the next day. In a rage, he tore the document he had just received into pieces. But Yuan Ran seemed to have expected it, and soon another one was delivered to his door. Beiye was holding the cell phone and almost destroying it again, but suddenly thought of Yuan Ran's stubbornness, so he put the agreement away. Contact the lawyer according to the number in his memory, and let Chu Sui spend some time with the lawyer before reaching an agreement. Boss, the matter is done. After receiving an accurate reply from Chu Sui, B was finally done. Xiang Zimu also realized that his repeated interruptions annoyed Beiming, so he simply approached Yuan Ran himself. Yuan Ran never went out of the company. She worked during the day and stayed there to rest at night. At this moment, Xiang Zimu came to see her in the name of Anning Group. Anning Group is the largest partner of Yu Group at present. Naturally, they did not dare to neglect and contacted Yuan Ran directly. Yuan Ran didn't know this person, so he just thought he was here to discuss business. We received Xiang Zimu as usual. Xiang Zimu was thinking about meeting Yuan Ran, so he was a little anxious and not calm enough. Mr. Xiang from Anning Group. I am. Mr. Yu asked us to invite you in. Xiang Zimu stood up and followed the secretary in. At the door of the office, he saw a young woman looking down at the documents in her hands. You can't see her appearance at this moment, but you can see that this woman is wearing a black professional suit, her black hair is pulled up, and her whole body exudes a serious and capable aura. She looks meticulous at work, and it is obvious that she is a working woman. Mr. Yu, the person in charge of Anning Group has been brought here. Okay, Mr. Xiang, please sit down. Yuan Ran stopped what he was doing and looked up at Xiang Zimu. At this time, Xiang Zimu could really see her appearance clearly. She was mature and beautiful, completely different from Yi Suiao's style. Xiang Zimu didn't understand why a passionate person like Kitano could be with such an indifferent person. Now that he sees Yuan Ran again, Xiang Zimu still feels it's against his will. This Yuan Ran looks rigidly mature, which is a pity for that delicate and flawless face. Mr. Xiang. When Yuan Ran called her by name again, Xiang Zimu took the initiative to walk towards Yuan Ran. Hello, Mr. Yu, I am Xiang Zimu, the representative of Anning Group. Hello. The two simply shook hands and then let go. Since Anning Group sent someone here, Yuan Ran was of course waiting for the other party to take the initiative to bring up the matter, but even after waiting for a long time, Xiang Zimu didn't say anything serious. Yuan Ran is not used to humorous small talk with others. She only wants to spend her time talking about business matters in the company. Mr. Xiang, what is the purpose of coming here? Mr. Yu, no, Miss Yu, actually I came here to see you today not for business, but for private matters. Private matters, Yuan Ran's face remained calm, but she thought of something else. If people from the Anning Group want to discuss private matters with her, does it have to do with Kitano? There's no need for personal matters. I don't have any personal matters to discuss with the people of Anning Group. No, Miss Yu, this matter is very important and involves human lives. Human life? Yuan Ran raised his eyes and stared at Xiang Zimu a little deeper. Seeing her reaction, Xiang Zimu took the opportunity to speak. There is a dying person in the hospital. Maybe Miss Yu is her last chance. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 912. Chapter 912. Save your sister. What's up with him? The situation is critical, Miss Yu, can you go to the hospital with me? Xiang Zimu's nervous and anxious expression was true to form. Yuan Ran's mind was filled with things about Bayet. As soon as he heard that his life was in danger, he lost his sense of judgment. Let's go to the hospital. Yuan Ran agreed without hesitation, looking even more anxious than Xiang Zimu. Xiang Zimu was a little curious. Yuan Ran was such an enthusiastic person? But neither of them knew, and they guessed wrongly what the other meant. Yuan Ran subconsciously believed that the only person related to her in the Anning group was Beiye, but Xiang Zimu didn't know about Yuan Ran and Beiye, and even guessed that Yuan Ran was very caring. No matter how many doubts Xiang Zimu had in his heart, he would not raise them at this moment, because no matter why Yuan Ran rushed to the hospital so actively, at least his goal had been achieved. On the way to the hospital, Yuan Ran's mood had eased. She suddenly thought of asking Xiang Zimu, "You are not deliberately lying to me, are you? Kitano is really a person who can make cruel tricks." But the news from the lawyer is that Kitano has signed the divorce agreement. Legally, they have no relationship. If Kitano wanted to play a bitter trick, he would not wait until now. Thinking about it this way, Yuan Ran became even more worried. Xiang Zimu led her to the hospital and took her to the examination place first. Yuan Ran saw something was wrong here, so he raised doubts. "This is not a ward." Explained to Zimu, "Miss Yu, we have to seize the time to check you now." Yuan Ran frowned in confusion. "What are you checking?" "Kidney." "What happened to Kitano?" B. Yuan Ran's question made Xiang Zimu unable to respond in time. According to the speed of Yuan Ran's mind, she quickly heard the flaw in it. "The person you mentioned before who is dying is not Kitano." "Of course not, Brother Bei." "That's good." Yuan Ran whispered a few words, feeling as if a big stone had fallen to the ground, and he breathed a sigh of relief. "It's not Kitano, that's fine. But the question is, who would come to her if not Kitano? Miss Yu, I want to tell you something. You may question it or you may not believe it, but it is absolutely true." Xiang Zimu gave her a vaccination first. Yuan Ran only felt that this person was inexplicable. Since B was fine, the other people in the Anning group had nothing to do with her. "I don't want to hear things that have nothing to do with me." Yuan Ran was about to leave. Xiang Zimu hurriedly ran forward to stop her, and could no longer bear to reveal the truth. "Miss Yu, do you know that you have a younger sister? Your sister is living in this hospital now. She is dying. Maybe you are her only chance to survive." Yuan Ran listened to Xiang Zimu's words quietly, and still retorted calmly, "I don't have a sister." "Miss Yu, you must not believe it. I can understand your feelings, but please be kind and save her." Yuan Ran crossed his arms, obviously not taking what Xiang Zimu said seriously. Xiang Zimu couldn't explain it clearly, so he simply took Yuan Ran to see Yi Suiao, who lived in the ward. "Miss Yu, look at the girl lying there. She is your half-sister. Her surname is Yi. My name is Yi Suiao." Yuan Ran remained silent, but her dilated pupils betrayed her mood. Her biological father's surname is indeed Yi. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 913. Chapter 913. Misunderstandings abound. Yi Suiao needs a kidney if she wants to survive. But, even if what you said is true, why should I save her? This was Yuan Ran's truest reaction at that time. When Yuan Ran learned that he had a sister, Yuan Ran's feelings were beyond words. Under Xiang Zimu's guidance, Yuan Ran connected everything. Her mother never wanted to mention her father's affairs in front of her. Even if she did, it would be to use the fact that her father cheated on his secretary and worked together to calculate the Yu family's property to hit Yuan Ran so that she should not trust men. So Yuan Ran didn't know anything about his father. Is it life or death? Is life going well or not? I don't know all this. Yuan Ran didn't even know that she had a half-sister, and what a coincidence, the daughter born by the mistress was right next to her, that Yi Suiao. What a pity, she has never been a holy mother, let alone feel sad and painful for a strange sister. So she asks Xiang Zimu, why should I save her? Xiang Zimu thought that Yuan Ran didn't want his body to be harmed. He tried to calm Yuan Ran's heart, Miss Yu, you are in good health. You can continue to live even with a kidney transplant. But if Yao Yao can't find a suitable one, kidney source, there is really no way to save it. Using his life to play the emotional card, Xiang Zimu really tried every means to persuade Yuan Ran. But Yuan Ran's attitude was very firm, I'm sorry, this matter has nothing to do with me. She neither needs to gain a good reputation nor has the spirit of self-sacrifice to help others, so her attitude is very firm. Yuan Ran does not plan to stay in the hospital. She walked past Xiang Zimu indifferently, but suddenly a figure rushed out from behind and surpassed Yuan Ran, kneeling directly in front of her and letting her go. Miss Yu, please show mercy and save my only daughter. Yuan Ran lowered his head and saw a woman with short hair. According to the meaning of the woman's words, Yuan Ran guessed the woman's identity almost instantly. As a third party who destroyed the family, you are so kind to kneel on the ground and plead with the Yu family. Miss Yu, no matter what you say, I can do it. I just ask you to check it out and give us Yao Yao a chance to live. This made Yuan Ran feel very funny. Who gave them the opportunity to question their choices every day? So she asked, why? Mama Yi knelt on the ground and asked for help in an unambiguous manner, but Yuan Ran's heart did not waver at all. I said, it has nothing to do with me. That means refusing to help. After Yuan Ran left, Yi's mother sat there in despair, covering her face with her hands to block her tears but unable to cover up her cries. What should I do? I told her that she might not agree. Now she is not even willing to do the matching. If she has no feelings for Yao Yao, she will not save Yao Yao. No, maybe there is someone else who can. Xiang Zimu did not call Kitano this time, but came directly to his door. It was already a few hours before Xiang Zimu found Bi through Chu Sui. Brother Bei, we have found someone who may be able to save Yao Yao. She is Yao Yao's half-sister. Then take her to the hospital. But the person is unwilling, and her family has status, so it's not something that money can solve. I told you to leave this matter to you. If it's too soft, then do the hard one. In short, hurry up. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 914. Chapter 914. You are not allowed to touch Yuan Ran. B's mind is not on Yi Suiao right now, and he has no time to listen to Xiang Zimu's words. Xiang Zimu knew that there was no way to calm down and talk, so he told the truth on the spot, that person is Miss Yuchia, Yuan Ran. After saying those words to Zimu, the atmosphere in the air seemed to condense. This joke is not funny. Brother Bei, I won't make fun of Yao Yao's life. Xiang Zimu's serious expression was definitely not fake. Go on. Yao Yao's father who died young was also Yuan Ran's biological father. In the following time, Xiang Zimu conveyed to Kitano everything he had heard from Yi's mother before. Bei's heart could not be calm for a long time. Xiang Zimu held his arm and said, Brother Bei, Yao Yao's life is at stake. You can't hesitate on this matter. You and Yuan Ran have some friendship. Brother Bei, go and persuade her to come to the hospital for examination. If if you adapt, then Yao Yao will be saved. Xiang Zimu still has great expectations for this matter. But who would have thought that what he heard from Kitano was the word no? No, I don't agree. Bei's unhesitating denial look coincided with the look on Yuan Ran's face when he said he wouldn't save her. Xiang Zimu couldn't understand. Brother Bei, do you know what you are talking about? Are you unwilling to save Yao Yao, or are you unable to shame yourself and go find your ex-girlfriend? Xiang Zimu. You have no right to talk to me like this. Yes, I am not qualified, but what about Yao Yao? Yao Yao was injured for you, and her body was tortured like this for you, but you refused to take action when her life was in danger, Xiang Zimu said in a tone of voice getting more and more excited. Kitano suddenly grabbed his collar, and with his height advantage, he directly lifted Xiang Zimu up. Don't you *CK keep pressuring me with things that happened at the beginning, I know what to do, but you are absolutely not allowed to make your mind up on Yuan Ran's body. Xiang Zimu was startled by Kitano's sudden outburst of emotion. Only then did Xiang Zimu realize that B's unwillingness to go seemed not because he didn't want to face Yuan Ran, but to protect Yuan Ran? Yuan Ran's one kidney is more important than Yi Suiao's entire life. B. What do you mean? Even if Yuan Ran's kidneys are compatible with Yao Yao's, you won't let her save her. Yes, you understood it correctly. Are you crazy? Yuan Ran is a healthy and living person. He will not die even if a kidney is transplanted, but Yao Yao will. Beye, you have to figure out which one is more important. Kitano, don't need you to teach me what I want to do. The fist that Xiang Zimu clenched finally swung out towards Kitano at this moment. Kitano quickly caught the powerful fist. Xiang Zimu continued to exert force, but it couldn't match Beye's strength. Xiang Zimu asked him unconvincedly, Beye, are you going to kill your benefactor for a heartless woman? Shut your mouth. If it weren't for the love we have had over the past 5 years, you wouldn't have even thought about walking out today. B finally spoke to Xiang Zimu, and every word was to protect Yuan Ran. At that moment, Xiang Zimu felt that B was really crazy and had been poisoned by Yuan Ran. B told him clearly, I will continue to search for Yao Yao's kidney source and don't bother Yuan Ran again. Snort. Xiang Zimu did not agree. 5 years of brotherhood almost led to a quarrel over the two women's positions. But while they were looking for their next target, the doctor had already issued the final notice. Hal, Mr. Bay is a madman who protects his wife. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lou Kixie. Chapter 915. Chapter 915 Kidney Adaptation and Surgery. Time waits for no one, and Xiang Zimu didn't even dare to mention Yuan Ran to Yi Suiao. No, we must find a way to send Brother Bei away. When Xiang Zimu received the doctor's warning, he was already unsteady. He knew that if Bei wanted to protect Yuan Ran, he would definitely not be able to defeat Bei, and now he could only outwit him. The news came to Zimu that a suitable kidney source had been found, but the owner in the next city refused to save him. Xiang Zimu and Bei discussed who would go find someone to negotiate with someone and who would stay in the hospital to guard Yi Suiao. Needless to say, Bei was definitely not happy to be with Yi Suiao all the time, so he took the initiative to take charge of this matter. After Kitano contacted the other party, he quickly set out on the road to the next city. After Xiang Zimu noticed from the last incident that Yuan Ran was still interested in Beye, this time he directly used Beye's name to contact Yuan Ran. When Yuan Ran appeared, he quickly knocked the person unconscious and took him away. Sent to the hospital for examination, something magical happened. Yuan Ran and Yi Suiao's kidneys are very compatible and can be operated on immediately. That's great. After Xiang Zimu finished doing the series of things, his whole body was in a floating state. It is impossible to say that he is not nervous, but he must do so. After learning that the kidney was compatible, both Xiang Zimu and Yi's mother were very anxious and hoped that they could perform an operation immediately to save their daughter, but they were refused by the hospital. We can't do kidney transplants without the provider being aware. The hospital has its own express regulations, so naturally it won't just listen to Xiang Zimu's 1 or 2 words. How could Xiang Zimu dare to let Yuan Ran wake up? Yuan Ran has made it clear that she will not save people. If she wakes up, the first thing she will do is to leave, and the second thing will be to find someone to settle accounts with them. By then everything will be ruined. Xiang Zimu was hesitant, but Mama Yi suddenly pulled him aside and made a taboo suggestion. He wiped his face towards Zimu, looked at Yuan Ran who was sleeping on the side, and thought about Yi Suiao whose life was hanging by a thread, and finally nodded to Yi's mother. Xiang Zimu insisted on transferring Yi Suiao to another private hospital, and at the same time fed Yuan Ran something to keep her asleep. Mama Yi and Xiang Zimu are worried, but the rescuer is right in front of them, and they will never let Yuan Ran go. Mama Yi didn't know much about this hospital, so she asked a few questions. Is this hospital safe? Don't worry, Aunt, if you pay for things, their skills are still trustworthy. 9 out of 10 things in this world can be done with money. Even this kind of illegal surgery, as long as there is money, some people will do it. Mama Yi nodded with a panicked heart, and urged, hurry up then, this Yuan Ran is the only one who can save Yao Yao, Yao Yao can't afford to wait. Doctors are already preparing and will be able to operate on them soon. Xiang Zimu and Yi Mama are determined to be bad guys for once. They don't care about the outcome, they just hope that Yi Suiao can live safely. At this time, Chu Sui, who received the order from his boss, went to the original hospital to visit Yi Suiao and also monitored Xiang Zimu. Kei Chu then brought bad news. Boss, you asked me to go to the hospital to keep an eye on Miss Yi, but the hospital's records show that they have just been transferred to another hospital. Beiya had a bad premonition and decided decisively, go find Yuan Ran, and also find out where Yi Suiao has gone. Can Mr. Bei arrive in time to save people? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 916. Chapter 916 Kidney Removal, he was late. Hospital. Yuan Ran and Yi Suiao were lying on 2 hospital beds respectively. Don't want. Yuan Ran felt like she was walking on a road with no end in sight, surrounded by a vast expanse of white and nothing. She kept walking forward, and a black figure vaguely appeared in front of her. The closer she got, the more clearly she could see the appearance of that person. It was Kitano. She suddenly quickened her pace and ran forward, trying to find Beiya for help. However, as she approached, she was cruelly pushed away by the black shadow. She fell to the ground, unable to move as if suppressed by something. Struggled hard but couldn't move. There was a shadow shaking in front of her eyes. She wanted to open her eyes but couldn't. When danger is approaching, everyone has a subconscious perception, but she has no way to escape. The doctor gave her an anesthetic, and Yuan Ran's remaining consciousness completely disappeared. Chu Sui immediately contacted Xiang Zimu after receiving Kitano's instructions. The phone could not be reached, and no one could be found through other contact methods. Chu Sui didn't know what happened yet, but he also felt in his heart that this time things might be very serious. Secretary Zhao, who was arranged by the Ye group to meet with Chu Sui, was left alone in the office. He sat there drinking tea for a while and also inquired about some information from Chu Sui. Secretary Zhao still remembered that Yuan Ran was very close to the wife of his CEO, because Ye Wei had asked Secretary Zhao to take care of the U group when he went to G City. Secretary Zhao did not dare to disturb Ye Wei, so he contacted Yezikin directly. But what Secretary Zhao didn't know was that his call coincided with Ye Wei's half-month vacation. Yezikin's cell phone happened to fall into Ye Wei's hands, and the whole news was heard by Ye Wei. And Ran is missing. Husband, madam. Why are you? Secretary Zhao suddenly felt that the back of his neck was so cold. What is me and not who I am? Help Chu Sui find someone quickly. Yes. Secretary Zhao responded quickly and gave Ye Weiwei a few words of advice. Bei Ye's power is not widely distributed in S City, but the Ye group is a big family that has been stationed in S City for many years. The two forces joined forces and quickly found clues to Yuan Ran's disappearance. Bei hurried back from the next city. After getting off the plane, he received a message from Chu Sui, which was the specific address of a private hospital. The person who picked him up at the airport welcomed him to the car, and he drove there himself. The car is going very fast. As luck would have it, there was a traffic jam when there were still 2 or 3 kilometers to go. Kitano changed places with the co-pilot and ran out directly. Ye Weiwei and Kitano felt that this private hospital was small and sparsely populated almost at the same time. However, precisely because it was not formal enough, they were even more worried about Yuan Ran's safety. Bei ran very fast, Ye Weiwei only accelerated slightly, and Secretary Zhao chased him and kept screaming, "My aunt, please slow down and be careful." If Secretary Zhao knew that his call would be received by Ye Weiwei, he would definitely not make the call. Moreover, now that this little ancestor has come out without telling Yezikin, Secretary Zhao is worried, fearing that something will go wrong. But when the night comes, everything is too late. Kitano knelt on the ground. No, he was pressing a man down with his knees. The man was knocked to the ground with blood at the corners of his mouth. Of course, Ye only cares about one person. Where is An Ran? Bei raised his head, his eyes red. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 917. Chapter 917 The Truth About the Broken Arm 5 years ago. Seeing Bei's red eyes, Ye Weiwei felt extremely uneasy and asked loudly, "Where is An Ran?" Inside. Xiang Zimuo, who was pinned to the ground by Kitano, gasped and stretched out a finger tremblingly. Ye Yuyi was almost carried away and lost her mind and was about to rush in. Bei Ye reached out and grabbed her. "What are you doing? The operation has been carried out, and interrupting it will even endanger Ran's life." Bei spoke through gritted teeth, even wanting to beat Xiang Zimu to death. He was also worried about Yuan Ran, and he wanted to rush in desperately and take Yuan Ran away, but it was too late. The operation is already in progress. If they rush in now, it will only affect the doctor's actions, and then there will be nothing left to do. Ye Weiwei took a deep breath. She did not take the last step to rush in, but now, all the anger and dissatisfaction in her heart emerged. "Bei Ye, what exactly does An Ran owe you? You want to treat her like this?" Seeing Ye Weiwei pointing his finger at Bei Ye and getting angry, Chu Sui, who was protecting the Lord, also explained, "Young madam, our boss doesn't know about this matter. He also just came back." Ye Weiwei turned around and glared at Chu Sui. That look contained so many emotions that Chu Sui didn't even know what to say when he opened his mouth. Bei hated Xiang Zimuo, but the only thing Ye wanted to know was, why didn't you protect her? When the mood came up, Ye Weiwei's eyes were also red, and he grabbed Bei Ye's collar with both hands and asked, "In order to save another woman, you ignored An Ran's safety. An Ran is your wife, and the others are dead. Even if they are dead, it has nothing to do with you. Why don't you protect her? If you die, you will die." If this had been normal, Ye Weiwei would not have said such cruel words, but when she thought that that woman's life had to be exchanged for Yuan Ran's safety, how could she have the heart to pity others? However, these words angered Yi Suiao's biological mother, and Yi's mother rushed up and pointed at Ye Weiwei's nose and scolded her, "Why are you such a cruel woman? What do you mean my daughter will die if she dies? My daughter also put her body away for Kitano." Exhausted. "Since you said Yuan Ran is his wife, she should pay for all this on her husband's behalf." Snapped. Ye Weiwei raised his hand and slapped Yi's mother on the face. At that moment, the surroundings became quiet. There were tears in Yi's mother's eyes. "You dare to hit me? I'll beat you. Ye Wei smiled mockingly and warned her, if something happens to Enran, your daughter won't even be able to live. Mama Yi covered the slapped cheek with one hand and wanted to raise her hand to hit him back, but it was impossible. Secretary Zhao and Chu Sui both protected Ye Wei. Xiang Zimu got up from the ground and stood firmly in front of the operating room door. Miss Yu, she is in good health and blessed with great fortune, and nothing will happen to her. She is in good health, and it is not a loss to have one kidney removed in exchange for a life. Hearing these words, Ye Wei couldn't help but rush forward again, but this time Bai Ye did stop her. Bi also knew about Ye Wei's pregnancy. Seeing that she was having trouble controlling her emotions, he endured the pain in his heart and deliberately comforted her. Qiao Li, calm down, Enran will be fine. What do you know? You know nothing. 5 years ago, I broke my arm to protect you and lost my dream in order to protect my feelings for you. I even hurt myself and threatened my life. 5 years later, I will have my kidney removed because of you. Tell me, what did Enran do wrong to get hurt like this by you? Finally, what happened 5 years ago was revealed to the world. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 918. Chapter 918, Be responsible to Yi Suiao to the end. What are you saying? You don't understand what I'm saying? Or do you dare not face it? You will never be able to repay the hurt Enran suffered in your lifetime. The words in Ye Wei's mouth were like a sharp weapon that cut into the heart, leaving Bi unable to refute, and he couldn't even believe the truth in her mouth. Bai Ye grabbed Ye Wei's wrist in turn, with sharp eyes. Please explain what you just said clearly. What do you mean by breaking your arm to protect me? So you don't know yet? Ye Wei smiled, but the smile was full of bitterness. Enran still didn't say anything. All this was to prevent Bi from blaming himself. Ye Wei lowered his head and pressed his forehead with his palms, suddenly feeling very painful. Secretary Zhao quickly pulled Bai Ye's hand away and anxiously advised Ye Wei, my little ancestor, please take a rest. You have to take care of your stomach. Ye Wei's only hand subconsciously moved to his lower abdomen, and at the same time he listened to Secretary Zhao's advice. She took a few deep breaths and let Secretary Zhao put his hand in front of her, instead of rushing over to curse. If she hadn't been pregnant with the child, she would have rushed up to Zimu and beat that thing up. Ye Wei still stared at Bi and told him all the truth that Enran couldn't bear to tell, word by word. You threatened Enran to break up with you, but you insisted on pestering her and provoked those gangsters. Enran stood up to protect you, saved your life, and also lost one of his own arms. He usually looks fine, but even a slightly heavier you can't lift anything, let alone use force. Now that things have happened, are you afraid that he will feel guilty? This matter has happened. Is it possible for Enran to still be with Kitano? It's really ridiculous. You regard Yi Suiao as your benefactor, yet you are willing to take responsibility for all her own illnesses. Liang mocked a few words as if that wasn't enough. She should go to the north to seek refuge at all costs. Get some needles. You'd better be responsible for that Yi Suiao to the end. Whenever I find a chance, I won't let her have an easy time. Yes, only sanity gradually returned, and his voice became slightly calmer, but still cold. In order to delay time, Xiang Zimu did not hesitate to lie shamelessly. It is indeed our fault in this matter, but this matter was also done voluntarily by Miss Yu. As a result, Ye Wei denied it without hesitation. Shut up. Enran's own body is full of injuries. How can she save Yi Suiao, who has nothing to do with her? She doesn't want to hear any of those nonsense lies. The sensible Secretary Zhao had already arranged for someone to guard the hospital when he arrived. Now he called Xiang Zimu and Mama Yi and took them away by force. The scene was much quieter. Ye Wei sat outside, and Bai Ye stood at the door. The two did not communicate with each other and had different expressions. Ye only has red eye circles. There is no way to stop the operation now, so she can only hope that the operation goes smoothly, so that Yuan Ran will feel better. After waiting for about 2 hours, the people inside were finally pushed out. The doctor came out and saw strange faces outside, and was frightened at that time. Beiye gave Chu Sui a look, and Chu Sui and his men detained the doctor for questioning. The two sleeping people were pushed out one after another. Ye Wei and B only glanced at Yi Suiao briefly and then stayed by Yuan Ran's side. Ran. However, the people on the hospital bed were all lying there unconsciously, in a dead silence. Of course Mr. Bei will not be responsible for Yi Suiao to the end, he is only responsible for the little beauty Ran. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 919. Chapter 919. The wife seeker is here. Yuan Ran is not in fear of her life, but she is missing a kidney. Ye Wei and Beiye almost fought to stay by Yuan Ran's side, but Yezikin came. Ye Wei's anger was mostly gone. Pretend to be wronged first so that Yezikin can't say anything to blame her. You actually sneaked out quietly behind my back, Chiao Li, you are so brave. Brother Chen, I didn't mean it. I was anxious and worried about An Ran. Hearing the conversation between the two, Secretary Zhao stood a few meters away from them and shook his head. Here it comes again, he has heard that sentence 180 times. I really want to reply, yes, I am brave. I am brave every time. Boss, you are reluctant to do anything to others. But he didn't dare. Secretary Zhao stood behind and touched his nose, lowered his head and looked at his toes, minimizing his presence. Yezikin held Ye Wei's hand tightly, now that she's fine, come home with me to rest. Ye Wei shook his head and refused, why is it okay? An Ran hasn't woken up yet. I'm worried. Someone will notify you when she wakes up. Just let me wait, An Ran is my friend, I'm worried. Ye Wei insisted on staying and promised not to get angry randomly again. There is basically no reason to reason with pregnant women. Even if Yezikin has wisdom, he can't use it at this moment. He can only follow his wife's request. What else can he do? But Ye Wei was angry. Knowing that Beiye would not harm Yuan Ran, she followed Yezikin's words and went to the lounge next door to rest, that is, to wait for news about Yuan Ran. Beiye was the only one left guarding Yuan Ran in the ward, and Chu Sui stood outside the door to prevent those who were not discerning from rushing in and disturbing her. Kitano regretted leaving City S and giving Xiang Zimu an opportunity. Of course, I'm sorry. The arrogant young man bowed his head and admitted his mistake. Only this woman made him bow his head and surrender willingly. But he was not a good knight, and he did not protect his princess well. In order to ensure Yuan Ran's safety, they now dare not move people at will. They can only temporarily aggrieve Yuan Ran to stay in this shady hospital for a while, but at the same time, they will investigate the shady activities of this hospital. Kitano plans to demolish this hospital directly. Perhaps this can't relieve your anger. Of course, when you wake up, we will never quarrel again. When you are unhappy, I will coax you until you see a smile like before. When you are happy, I will stay with you to make you happier. Of course, I haven't changed. When you wake up, I will let you see the real me in the future. Hide nothing from Yuan Ran anymore. The only thought in his heart now is to hope that Yuan Ran will wake up. No matter how many misunderstandings there were at the beginning, he is willing to explain it clearly. From now on, they will trust each other and never separate at will again. I'm sorry for ignoring your emotions. I know you care about Yi Suiao's appearance, and I promise that I will never let her appear in front of you to hinder your eyesight in the future. Of course, I never thought about taking revenge on you. Everything I did was just because. He just pushed her away because he was afraid that she would not remember the past. Just to keep you by my side. Yuan Ran's fingers suddenly moved and her eyelashes trembled. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 920. Chapter 920. My chest hurts, it hurts everywhere. Yuan Ran gradually and slowly opened her eyes under Kitano's unblinking gaze. But at this moment, Kitano lowered his head and was immersed in his memories, recounting what happened to him in the past 5 years. Didn't you ask me before where I have been in the past 5 years? Whatever you want to know, I will tell you. 5 years ago, MRSU teamed up with his enemy Wang Hu to kill him. On that heavy rainy day, he only knew that it was Yi Suiao who brought him back from the rainy field. He has not seen Yuan Ran since then. He thought Yuan Ran had given in, so he made a deal with Yezikin and traded his freedom. He couldn't help but come back a year later. He expected that Yuan Ran would cherish that relationship as much as he did, but he didn't expect that Yuan Ran would give him such a surprise. When he learned that Yuan Ran was engaged to someone else, he went crazy with anger, forcibly cut off his worries, left his hometown and went to work outside. At that time, Xiang Zimu also failed the college entrance examination and planned to go out to work, so he followed him. Since Yi Suiao no longer had any relatives in S city, she also offered to leave with Bai Ye. At that time, Kitano would not ask others what they were worried about. Since those people said we all have a care together, he had no reason to refuse. It is better to have 3 people traveling together than to be alone, but at the beginning they were living at the bottom of society. In order to make money, they did all kinds of hard work and lived in small, damp houses just to save on rent. Yi Suiao is a woman. Although there are some inconveniences in living with them, those inconveniences did not cause them any trouble. Instead, they helped them solve many trivial matters in daily life. But it was very tiring to live in that situation. He finally realized the cruelty of real society. In this society, not everyone can break into a world of their own if they have the ability. So he contacted Yezikin and reached a previous deal, that is, Yezikin would help him, but the requirement was that no matter how great his achievements were in the future, he would belong to Yezikin for 10 years. After getting help from Yezikin, he gradually started to get his work on track. But one thing was hard to come by at the beginning. Yi Suiao was originally ill, and after a long period of suffering, her health was even more damaged. He gradually built the Anning Group. Although he was the founder and boss, the Anning Group had to work for the Ye Group for at least 10 years. A gentleman's covenant, no need to sign, he will remember the original agreement. Yuan Ran listened with his eyes closed for as long as B talked. But this time, her heart did not flutter. The original truth was revealed step by step, but now she has no interest at all. She was even suspicious that what the doctor had removed was not one of her kidneys, but her heart. Why doesn't she feel heartache? Perhaps it's because the injuries sustained by this broken body are more severe than the so-called chest pain, so there is nothing to feel. Yuan Ran was lying there quietly. She heard Bai Ye's prayers and confession, but she really had no intention of facing Bai Ye again. Yuan Ran believes that B deliberately asks Yang Zimu to show up for Yi Suiao, but now she just wants to take good care of her health and will never worry about these things again. So, she let herself go for the last time. You go. End of this chapter.